But even the toughest among us need help after a serious accident. At Gruber Law Offices, we won't stop fighting for you and your family. We've been here and will continue to be here for as long as you need us. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
The Brewers take on the south side of Chicago before their big return home.
Collins, a fly ball deep left field. This one's back at the track. It is gone. Isaac Collins, his first career home run.
Our coverage against the White Sox starts today at 12:35. We are your home for the Milwaukee Brewers. 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
It's 12 o'clock. I'm Greg Matzik. This is Wisconsin's Midday News for Thursday, May 1st. Your top story, maintaining his innocence after misconduct allegations.
I'm Jessica Ty. He talked to a school shooter here in Wisconsin. Now he has a gun restraining order imposed.
Rain likely, especially early, starting to move more to the north and working its way out of Milwaukee County. If you're in Racine and Kenosha, things looking pretty good. Some pops on the radar here south of the border, but it looks like an okay day for baseball. Certainly not warm, however. Mostly cloudy with a slight chance of a shower tonight and a low of 43. It is 46 degrees and rainy in Milwaukee at 12:01. From the WTMJ Breaking Newsroom in Franklin.
I have no issue taking responsibility for my actions. I can't take responsibility for something that I didn't do.
The city mayor maintains his innocence against multiple misconduct allegations during his time as a police lieutenant in the town of Waterford.
Mayor John Nelson addressing several misconduct allegations in front of a full house at the Franklin Public Library Wednesday.
If you had a problem with me, if you had a problem with anyone else, why wasn't it brought forth prior?
Mayor Nelson mentioned former Waterford Town Chair Terry Jandusa Nikolai multiple times by name during the meeting. She addressed those mentions afterwards.
I think people who know me know my entire life I've always had a great fondness for all law enforcement. Never in a million years would I ever think I'd be in the spot that I was put in.
In Franklin, Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
A California man is now banned from possessing firearms due to his connection to the shooting at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison. Investigators found Alexander Pfaffendorf exchanged messages back in December with school shooter Natalie Rupnow. Their conversation included talking about attacks on a government building. Pfaffendorf cannot own or possess firearms for 3 years under this new restraining order. He is not charged with any crime.
Make sure you check your ID before you travel via air. At least in the next week or so, Debbie Loziga explains.
It's called a Real ID, and the Wisconsin DMV is reminding everyone that if you want to get on a plane, you're going to need to make sure you have the right identification. These cards have the added star on the upper right. Though enforcement doesn't begin until May 7th, the DMV wants everyone to start getting ready to make the switch. And it's more than just getting on a plane. You need this type of ID to be able to get into a federal building or a military base. To get a good look at what we're talking about here, visit WTMJ.com and see what's accepted and what's not. Debbie Loziga, WTMJ News.
The Milwaukee Brewers look for the sweep of the Chicago White Sox this afternoon. It's been rainy, but GM Matt Arnold tells Wisconsin's Morning News there's an opening. Trust us. That's what he said. Here's the thing. I woke up this morning and I took a peek at the weather down in Chicago because it had the possibility of impacting our show too, right? Because if it's a rain out, then we have a show when we're right now anticipating just a skinny show. And it looked like the rain was getting out of Chicago much earlier than it was getting out of here.
There's always a window. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 12:03.
Hi, folks. This is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. With spring in the air, a young man's fancy turns to ceiling fans. And at BBC, he'll see all the best quality fans and their newest styles. The new fan electronics provide a great method of moving air, and with LED lights, they use less electricity than ever. We have fans in all sizes, from 24 to 96 inches wide, and their motors are warranted for life. At BBC, we advise you on the right fan for your needs, and our prices are the lowest. I guarantee it. We're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and on Saturday 10 to 4, and located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue across from Sobelman's and Bachman Furniture, all near the Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
If you've ever worried about your heart, If you've ever loved someone with heart disease, if you've ever wondered if you're the one at risk, let's remind ourselves that we are not powerless. Because at the Froedtert and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network, we're pushing to outsmart heart and vascular disease by working with you personally to understand your history, assess your risks, and guide you to heart strength. By digging deep with tireless research and offering access to leading-edge clinical trials. And for the most serious conditions, including heart failure, heart valve disease, arrhythmias, and vascular diseases, we provide renowned expertise and the most advanced life-saving procedures you expect from academic medicine. So let's get out in front of heart disease. Let's outsmart it. Let's keep pushing so that every one of us can outrun it and embrace every beautiful day life in Wisconsin has to offer. To learn more about our nationally renowned heart and vascular care, visit froedtert.com/heart.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. The Brewers going for a sweep of the White Sox this afternoon. It's the final game of a 10-game road trip. With the win, the Brewers will go 5-5 on the trip. GM Matt Arnold.
It's been a long trip for the guys, and certainly, there's some guys on fumes, and we've had a lot of guys that gotten hit by pitches, and, Bryce Harang sick yesterday, so a lot of guys ready to get home.
Coverage begins at 12:35 on WTMJ. Brewers return home for a 3-game weekend series against the Cubs beginning Friday night. Packers rookies making their way to Green Bay for the start of a 2-day minicamp beginning Friday. And playoff hockey returns to Milwaukee tonight. The Admirals take on the Rockford Ice Hogs in Game 1 of the Central Division semifinals. The puck drops at 7 o'clock at Milwaukee Panthers Arena.
Checking out the roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. We're looking much better than we were earlier this morning with all the rain. We had quite a few crashes. Right now, just one crash being reported. It is in Washington County. I-41 North at 4145 North. Right shoulder is blocked due to a crash.
Oh, wet morning. A bulk of the stuff is moving to the north here. You're likely still getting clipped with a little bit of nasty weather. I'd say north of West Bend right now. Fond du Lac is a little bit wet on up to Green Bay, but we've got a little more clearing happening. Not going to see sun today, really, by any stretch. It's going to remain cloudy, but it looks like the rain, for now anyway, is done in the majority of southeastern Wisconsin. But it's going to be cool today, wet, dreary, high of 54 on Friday with some scattered showers, 60 the high on Saturday under sunny skies, 66 on Sunday, mid-60s your high on Monday as well. 47 and cloudy in Milwaukee at 12:07.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios in downtown Milwaukee, it's Wisconsin's Midday News, making stories come to life. Now, here are your hosts, Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty.
You like to call it a skinny show. I like to call it a truncated show. Regardless, it is a short show here, Wisconsin's Midday News.
That's just something I made up in the last couple of weeks, thinking, okay, well, we still have a show. And we're always putting our all into it, no matter if it's 3 hours or 35 minutes, right? So it's like the skinny version. You go in and you get a skinny latte. Yeah, it's a skinny version of Wisconsin's Midday News today.
Be brief, be brilliant, be gone for baseball. That's what it'll be today. 12:08 on WTMJ. Prior to Brewers baseball, some big stories that we're following here this afternoon.
It's now at noon on Wisconsin's Midday News.
One of the big local stories today, Kohl's just fired its new CEO. Ashley Buchanan is out, accused of violating company policies. The Menominee Falls-based retailer says Buchanan directed the company to engage in vendor transactions that involved undisclosed conflicts of interest. Buchanan was CEO of Kohl's for just 4 months. 4 months. Shelley Banjo, the managing editor of Global Business at Bloomberg, explains how challenging it's been for Kohl's lately.
The company replaced its CEO because they weren't doing very well. And then as soon as the Ashley Buchanan took over, they decided to cut 10% of their corporate staff. Sales are already low. You're trying to do a turnaround right as the economy is starting to crater. Consumer demand is going down. The macroeconomic environment is clearly terrible. So it is not good news for this company.
Kohl's has appointed Michael Bender as interim CEO, and that is effective immediately.
Number 2, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz out as the Trump administration looks to move on from Signalgate. Waltz on shaky ground since he had inadvertently added a journalist to a group chat about military strikes. ABC's Catherine Falders has the details.
We do know that the president has, behind the scenes, not been particularly happy with the way that this played out. And for Mike Waltz's error in inadvertently adding the reporter to that thread with multiple cabinet secretaries. So we do know that he will be out. He's expected to be out soon. He could depart his post as soon as today, and we can expect an announcement from the president shortly.
No decision has yet been made on who will replace Walz in the interim or long term.
An arrest in Florida reveals a connection to a school shooter right here in Wisconsin. Deputies down in Palm Beach County, Florida, arrested a 22-year-old man this week who investigators say had contact with Natalie Ruppnow for months. Damian Allen is accused of posing as a sheriff's deputy and threatening to carry out a mass shooting. Investigators found an arsenal of weapons, disturbing online messages, and a closet full of law enforcement uniforms inside Allen's home. Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw.
The investigators that worked this case, there's no doubt in my mind they have stopped a mass shooting that was going to happen. This guy was ready to go, had all the equipment, had the propensity to do it. It's just a matter of what day was going to set him off to go do it.
Detectives say Allen's exchanges with Ruppnow, the Madison school shooter, detailed his loadout, shared his tactical plans, and said he was targeting 7 locations, including a church and a police department. Ruppnow killed 2 people at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison last year before turning the gun on herself.
What a crazy angle to the story. Unbelievable. All the way there. Just way out of the state of Wisconsin. Never got you an update on news about your money here. We'll get that in here for you. Brought to you by Annex Wealth Management. Pretty good day going here. Everything well into the green with the Dow up about 232 points. Flirting with the 41,000 mark. Currently sitting at 40,900. Good day for the NASDAQ as well. Up to a little over 2%. That's 370 points at 17,815. And the S&P 500 is up about 60 today at 5630. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. It's financial planning at every level. For details, visit annexwealth.com. Joel Brennan, Greater Milwaukee Committee President, joins us on the other side. More on the fallout at Kohl's and other things happening around the city of Milwaukee. Joel's on the pulse of it. He's with us next.
When your car or truck needs service, you should take it to a specialist. I'm Jim Token, president of the Auto Dealers Association of Metro Milwaukee. At a member, new car dealers have factory-warranted parts, the latest diagnostic equipment, and certified manufacturer technicians. Plus, their prices are as low or lower than independent shops, even on routine things like oil changes and tire service. Knowing all that, why would you ever consider going anywhere other than an Adam member dealer?
You should be listening to Wisconsin's Midday News with Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty each weekday.
Jessica's going to carry the show while I watch round one of the Masters. Thank you in advance for handling things today.
Oh, yeah, you're out, huh? Isn't that what you said to me when the NCAA tournament started?
Yes, and I was here mostly.
But if you missed us, catch up anytime with our Wisconsin's Midday News podcast.
Right there at your fingertips, wherever you get your podcast, find us.
Powered by Siding Unlimited. It's siding and a whole lot more.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here for Shopco Optical. Get eyewear for everything you do at Shopco Optical. Schedule your annual comprehensive eye exam, check out new frame styles, and order your annual supply of contact lenses all in one place. Enjoy the time and attention your eyes deserve at Shopco Optical. Receive quality eye care and a personalized vision solution tailored to your specific vision and lifestyle needs. Call Shopco Optical or visit shopco.com to schedule an appointment at a location nearest you.
For your next night out, revel in the fusion of artistry and flavor with sushi at St. Kate, offering guests an elevated experience where freshness and creativity converge in every bite. St. Kate the Arts Hotel introduces an exciting new sushi menu to its culinary repertoire. Indulge in the finest seafood, freshest ingredients, and expert craftsmanship for an inspired and delectable dining journey. Experience the art of sushi at St. Kate and learn more at stkatearts.com.
Got a note on the text line from our friend Ken in Heartland wondering why I'm not doing the 100 holes of golf today. Well, the weather had something to do with it. They do build in a rain date for this, thankfully, so When it looked like the morning was going to be a slop fest, they decided to close the course, shut everything down, and move us to next week. So yes, I'll be playing 100 holes of golf for the Mac Fun at the Bog. Next week, Thursday, look at that forecast. Looks like temperatures somewhere in the mid-60s with a lot of sun. So that's a win for everybody involved. That's for sure. Yeah, rainy today. A lot of it's moving north, which is good. Starting to clear out a little bit of here southeastern Wisconsin. It's still going to be cloudy with a temperature high of 52 degrees. Slight chance for a shower tonight, a low of 43. Some scattered showers possible on Friday with a high of 54. We settled into a pretty nice stretch beginning on Saturday, mostly sunny with a high of 60 degrees inland, a little cooler near the lake. 66 the high on Sunday, again a little cooler near the lake. And we go low to mid 60s and maybe even touching 70 at points next week. 47 and cloudy in Milwaukee at 12:15. He has a strong pulse on all things happening, business-related and otherwise, in the city of Milwaukee and beyond. It's Greater Milwaukee Committee President Joel Brennan. Hello.
How you guys doing today?
Blow off the resume here, right? Kohl's is looking for another CEO. What an alarming story here. 4 months after he was hired, something went wrong. Doesn't exactly point to the rough fiscal times that they have had, but certainly they have had them, and that's why the new CEO was put in place about 4 months ago. Well, what do we know about this situation developing at Kohl's?
I think what's ironic is when he took over, this is a guy who came to us from Michaels, I think was another major retailer. When he took over, he looked at over the last few years and said that part of the challenges that Kohl's has had in the industry were self-inflicted wounds. And, I think this is the biggest of self-inflicted wounds when it's your own personal conduct that costs you the role. I did not have a chance to get to know Ashley while he has been in town here. Obviously, there's a whole host of things that Kohl's has been trying to do to change their fortunes. They are not coming off of a good year or even a particularly good holiday season. So, there was work to do. And this is just, it's kind of the another in a long line of things that are unfortunate things for a brand that we all root for. They opened a store just a few steps from where we are here. And they have been a continued presence in the state and certainly in this community. They've made big contributions to the philanthropic world here in Milwaukee, but this is not what you want to be in the news. I looked at CNN.com. This is one of the top news stories of the day when it comes to business news. This is not how you want to make news.
Yeah, Bloomberg's talking about it too. In case you're just joining us and just getting this news, the Menominee Falls-based retailer says Buchanan directed the company to engage in vendor transactions that involved undisclosed conflicts of interest. And that's interesting too, because sometimes you can have a conflict of interest, but you got to come out and say, hey, I just want to let you know about this. Is that going to be a problem? So that's what we know about what happened. Kohl's has appointed Michael Bender as interim CEO, and that's effective immediately. Something interesting that I noted, Joel, if I look at Kohl's stock right now, it is up, and it actually jumped pretty significantly on this news. What do you think that says?
I don't know. It's not something I can really comment on, except that in a time where where most of the actions that they've taken over the last couple of years have not seen things improve. Maybe somebody else, I think the incoming interim CEO has experience with Walmart, and maybe some of this disruption from an investor point of view looks like it may be something that could be a positive. Again, it's yet another change, yet another disruption in a disruptive time for everybody.
It made me just wonder if investors are like, hey, at least they found the problem and boom, took care of it immediately because this guy was only in the spot for 4 months.
I've not looked at the stock price in a long time. I'm going to guess it's somewhere around $10 a share. Is that right? It's low. Lower. Yeah, therein lies the issue, because that was in the 40s even a couple of years ago. So definitely going the wrong way. Could they ever be bought out, I wonder? That's just sort of a spitballing here. I mean, do they either fold or do they get absorbed into another company, right? And a couple of options, potentially, if it gets to that point.
Yeah, I mean, but you're still talking about, I think, number 235 on the Fortune 500, employing 4,000 people in the state of Wisconsin. So, these are things, management plays a huge role in these things. There's disruption. There's things that are planned disruptions in management. There are things that kind of come up in a short time like this. But overall, this is still a brand over the long term that we all know, and a place that had really meteoric growth over the last 25 years. It wasn't that long ago, if you recall, we were thinking instead of the Fiserv Forum being in the Park East, we were thinking about Kohl's being the major retailer, the major employer in that space. They were talking about moving from Menominee Falls down to downtown Milwaukee. That was maybe 15 years ago. Maybe I'm dating myself a little, but that was still not that long ago. And that was at a time when everything was kind of coming up roses for them. And they've had real challenges over the last several years.
Well, and think about it, too. I mean, a lot of us will remember the days when Kohl's was also a grocery store. I remember that, like, half circle.
Yeah.
What was it over in, like, the...
North Avenue.
North Avenue, that
About
little area
80th and
over
North.
there. I feel like the one thing the new CEO, or at least the interim right now, can't get rid of that Kohl's cash. People like it. It's like gold to a lot of people.
I can tell you this. There's some sitting on the counter at home right now. I was down the hall here and bought some stuff not that long ago and brought home some Kohl's cash. I think my wife and I use it. So it still is, while these things that happen in the boardroom and that happen amongst them, the employees, there is a challenge, and the outside, there's still, we have a brand loyalty in this community to this. There is brand loyalty that they've established as they've grown nationally. So, again, I hope for the best. I hope that this is a blip for them and that we're not talking about this again, because they've had 3 leaders in the last 4 years. And that kind of the instability is not something that warrants a lot of confidence from the investors. But it's, there still is a great product that can be had there, and I'll still spend my Kohl's cash there.
Greater Milwaukee Committee President Joel Brennan joining us in studio. Inauguration week at Marquette with Dr. Kimo Oyun inaugurated, taking over as president. What are the biggest challenges there at Marquette University?
Well, again, there's a disruption that was not planned. Mike Lovell, unfortunately, he had been ill. We knew that for about 3 years. He passed away suddenly last summer, and Kimo stepped into that role as an interim, and now just this week became the 25th president in Marquette history. I think the challenges that he inherits are the challenges that everybody has in higher education, and especially in private universities, even though the investment in public universities is waning, and there's been challenges there. But there are wins in the face of higher education in so many different ways, demographically, ideologically, just in terms of the funding challenges. I was with the head of the UW system last week, and he was talking about the challenges that they have at the state level. The UW system is funded directly by state government, less so for the private institutions. But now you layer on what's going on at the federal level, that disruption, and that is kind of an existential crisis for those universities that, and all of them have some connection to research and probably something to the federal government. As that gets disrupted, that makes it even more challenging. Now, Dr. Oyun also has some challenges with his own faculty that's trying to unionize. I had to walk through a handful of very well-behaved picketers on my way into the inauguration the other day. And there are conversations that are going on campus, but over the long term, I think what every university had, what he needs to do as a leader in this community, but a leader on that campus, is look at the headwinds that higher education has and see where Marquette can navigate those. They've just finished a $750 million fundraising campaign. They've been very successful on that. A lot of that goes towards scholarships and making sure that they can take kids from all around Milwaukee and kids who look like the community here and give them opportunity. So there's a lot of momentum there, and that's what his speech was about, of all the momentum. But it's momentum in the face of challenges that are going on nationally when it comes to higher education.
You were at the inauguration. You were sitting there. You listened to Dr. Kimo Oyun. He said the world needs a strong Marquette. When you were listening to his speech, what do you gather are the personal strengths that are really going to make him excel in this spot as the 25th president of Marquette University?
Well, his personal story, and if you haven't had the chance to have him on, you should, because he grew up, I think he had 3 sisters. He was the first in his family to go to college. He is a story of someone for whom education and higher education became his pathway towards being a leader around the country. And so I think leaning into that personal story and understanding that there are kids all over the Milwaukee community and all over this country for whom higher education still is that pathway towards success. I think that's what he will lean into. That was some of what his comments were about. And his own personal story, I think, is one that we can all find a little bit of common ground with, but also can get inspiration from as he thinks about where Marquette is going into the future.
I'm not sure if you know the answer to this question, Joel, but we spoke several months ago about how UW Green Bay was the one institution in the UW system that actually saw increased enrollment, and they were getting creative. They were dipping into the high school level, and high school seniors were taking classes for credit at UW Green Bay, and they saw increased enrollment at a time where many of the other UW institutions were declining. Marquette is a private institution. Where do they kind of fit in that landscape? Have they been pretty consistent with their enrollment?
I think yes, and I think the last few years have seen record enrollment and record numbers of applicants. Even as the demographics are challenged, for lots of people in higher ed, Marquette is amongst those universities that's doing well. They're working with a lot of good organizations, all in Milwaukee, which provides some help for people, for seniors in high school, juniors and seniors, to get into Wisconsin universities and then get through. So, they have partnerships that they're really leaning into. And so, I think Marquette is doing well. They can always do better. And I think some of the work that started under Mike Lovell, Dr. Ayoun, will continue in terms of making sure that it is an accessible institution for people from this community.
Before we let you go, Joel, tonight I know it's the City of Festivals kickoff event in Milwaukee at the Italian Community Center, of course, focusing on Festa Italiana, Pride Fest, German Fest, Summer Fest, Irish Fest, all the fests here. Do you have a favorite?
My last name is Brennan.
Nah!
Irish Fest is what, and my family over the years has, as my family has spread out around the country, there have been times when we've been able to come back and have family reunions in and around the time of Irish Fest, and we always see old friends and neighbors and people who are tending bar in those places. So I love them all, but a guy named Brennan, you have to, that's the favorite amongst those children.
I should have known.
Heart opens up for it, no doubt about that. Joel, we always appreciate your time. Thanks for checking in today. We'll do it again next week.
Thank you, guys.
12:26 on WTMJ. We'll get you news and national headlines coming up in just a few.
Looking ahead to life's next adventure? Hi, I'm Mike Yancey from Yancey & Associates. Whether you're buying a home or launching your dream business, we know there's a lot on your plate. But here's the thing, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1946, we've helped Wisconsinites like you secure, protect, and grow their version of the American dream. Our team is ready to tailor the perfect plan for you. Learn more at ANSAY.com. That's ANSAY.com.
Hi, this is Jeff Levering with the Brewers Radio Network. Ridgetop Exteriors, Wisconsin's trusted name in home improvement, does more than just top-quality roofing. They're your go-to for maintenance-free siding and energy-efficient windows, too. Ridgetop has expert credentials with leading manufacturers like Pella, James Hardie, and LP Smart Siding. For over 20 years, they delivered exceptional craftsmanship and service. Call Ridgetop Exteriors today or visit ridgetopexteriors.com. Ridgetop Exteriors, where customer service always comes first.
Ridgetop Exteriors.
Staying active, essential for overall health. Proper medical support, essential for staying active. WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Whether it's keeping a weekend warrior like me on the tennis court or keeping young athletes in the game, you want the best in sports medicine, that's OAW. Surgeons, nurses, and physical therapists help you recover from injury, avoid injury in the future, and enhance performance. Get care 7 days a week. Walk right in at an Ortho ASAP clinic or book an appointment online at orthowisconsin.com.
Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed's Sponsored Jobs feature helps you stand out and hire fast. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
And now, about your house. It's where you live. But do you also live in your yard? My friends at Outdoor Living Unlimited help people extend their home living beyond the walls. Your imagination may be limited, so let's call on Eric Brown, president of Outdoor Living Unlimited, to expand upon it.
Some of the most exciting projects from Outdoor Living Unlimited involve adding dimension to the backyard. During the design phase, we bring all kinds of ideas to the project. We generally start with the focused effort in the 2D world, the two-dimensional world, with a deck or a paver patio. I call this our blank canvas. Decks and patios, when built right, are wonderful to enjoy when you want to relax and unwind. mind. Designed correctly, these projects lend themselves to adding a third dimension to the backyard that often consists of a version of a pergola. I say version of a pergola because the term pergola has taken on so many meanings and styles recently. We can build a pergola that has cedar slats to break up the sun, which looks beautiful, gives the backyard a defined space, and definitely adds another dimension to the backyard. These are stylish with their natural beauty. If you're looking for more, pergolas have evolved all the way to powder coat aluminum framing with automated louvers in the roof that open for natural light or, with the press of a button, close to deflect rain or create shade. These newer contemporary pergolas also have automated screens that you can open and close with the push of a button. You control your space. If you want screens for privacy, wind deflection, or to deter bugs, you can have them down. Or press a button and the screens roll up and you have a clear view of your surroundings. There are so many other options when it comes to designing your space. Adding a third dimension brings excitement to any backyard.
See all of the cool things that Outdoor Living Unlimited can do for your yard on their Instagram page. Or see it inside Outdoor Living Unlimited's unique Outside In showroom in Waukesha. OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Deals are popping up all over the place this week at Fleet Farm. Like Farm Fresh Selects veggie and herb plants, 3 for $9.99. 1 cubic foot bags of Miracle Grow Moisture Control Potting Mix are just $9.99. And ladies' Carhartt Tencel t-shirts are 25% off. From garden staples to workwear essentials, Fleet Farm has everything you need this season. Always at the best prices, guaranteed.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 255368.
At Wisconsin's own Accunet Mortgage, our closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 less than the banks or the mortgage guys with the Rocket for exactly the same rate. Find out how much you can save at accunet.com.
Over tariffs and a brewing trade war with China continue to lead a roller coaster ride for stocks and businesses trying to revamp their budgets and forecasts. President Trump continuing to defend his tariff policy. ABC's Mary Bruce has more.
Trade with China hit with 145% tariffs, dramatically slowing. The number of cargo ships coming into the port of Los Angeles next week down 36% from this time last year. Sources tell us Target and Walmart have warned the president that consumers could soon be seeing empty shelves.
National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is expected to leave his post as President Trump's National Security Advisor. That, according to sources familiar with the decision. The departure comes in the wake of the Signal app controversy when a journalist was added to the group chat discussing military operations against Houthi rebels in Yemen. And it's May Day, or International Workers' Day. Marches and rallies taking place around the country pushing for better working and labor conditions. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 12:31. 4 months on the job, and the new CEO of Kohl's is out. Ashley Buchanan fired, but not because of anything to do with the company's financial performance.
The Wall Street Journal says Buchanan was terminated because of a highly unusual business deal he made with a woman who he was once romantically linked to. Wall Street Journal says the woman is the CEO of Incredibrew, a coffee brand infused with vitamins, and she signed a multi-million-dollar consulting agreement with Kohl's with unusually favorable terms. Now, Kohl's says Buchanan was fired for violating company policies. Board member Michael Bender is interim CEO, effective immediately. Eric Bilstead, WTMJ News.
After 200 days beached on the lakefront in multiple failed removal attempts, Milwaukee County moves on to Plan B for the abandoned boat.
Milwaukee County Supervisor Sheldon Wasserman tells WTMJ exclusively the cost of removing Deep Thought is slowly approaching the six-figure mark.
We're talking costs that are going to be approaching $100,000.
Which is why Wasserman says the county is now stepping up and taking action.
Milwaukee County is going to be working with another vendor to come and get this boat out. Weather permitting, which is the big thing, weather permitting on Tuesday.
Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
And thousands of marchers taking to the streets this first day of May. Marches in downtown Milwaukee joined by members of Milwaukee's Common Council to participate in A Day Without Immigrants. Rallies nationwide are expected to focus on workers and immigrant rights. Catch you up on the weather here before we get you to Brewers baseball. Kind of gloomy today. It looks like there is a window to play baseball in Chicago. They had a bunch of rain this morning. And most of the rain in our area is well to the north, Fond du Lac, and north up to Green Bay. Got a clearing here in southeastern Wisconsin. That's a good thing. There is a chance that could come back. Jessica, we got to wait till the weekend before we see the sun in earnest again.
That's okay. It'll make us appreciate that sun even more, right? It's time to play ball.
Yeah, it is time to play ball. Brewers in Chicago going for a sweep of the White Sox, and then it is back home finally after this long 10-day road trip. They'll take on the Cubs in a 3-game weekend series beginning Friday. So a big fill of Chicago baseball in Chicago and back in Milwaukee against the Cubs. Brewers baseball next on WTMJ.
This is Ted.
Hi, I'm Ted.
Ted owns and operates a business.
That's right.
But Ted needs help.